So in yesterday's example, we created the recording in SHDB and created a program using call transaction method. So there we observed different modes: all screens, no screens, error screens modes. Today we'll see session method. So what is the processing in session method? Record processing in session method. Synchronous or asynchronous?
Asynchronous processing,
Synchronous
sir.
processing. So we can process multiple transaction codes in the same
Same time.
at the same time,
Time.
right?
Yes.
It's a very important interview question also. They'll ask, can we process two transaction codes in the same program? Okay, so that is possible by using session
Yes.
method. So let's create a program using session method. So this is the program which we created yesterday for call transaction. So I'll just copy as it is. I'll copy everything including documentation, text elements. So when we are using session method, what is the difference? There is no difference except this call transaction statement. I'm commenting this. Okay, I'm commenting the call transaction statement. Now, what are the function modules we need to use for session method? If
Mm.
lt underscore data is not initial, then I'll run the process. It is common for call transaction also, nothing difference. So I will create the session if there is at least one record in the file data. Okay. Otherwise, what is the use of creating the session? What is the function module to create the session?
BDC open.
So this is the function module to create the session. Client
Yes.
pass SYMANDT. Destination is not required. User, just pass your username. sy hyphen uname. What are the other details required? We need
Go.
to pass the session name. Okay, so that we can check that session in SM35. That is group name is session name is a group. Okay, pass
Do.
okay, just pass email. Keep the session yes x or abap underscore true. That's it. uh, Enable the exceptions, remove unnecessary details. So here in between sub RC check, you need to handle the errors like raising any error message. If there is any issue in session processing, use format message to read the message and display the message. Okay,
Okay, sir.
now session, we are creating the session, and what is the next step? We need to process the records, right?
Yes, sir.
So instead of call transaction, in place of call transaction, what we need to use? What is the transaction code to create the transaction?
BDC.
BDC
Insert.
Insert.
insert. What are the inputs? Very simple. T code. What is the T code?
MM01.
MM01 in capital, and the remaining are optional. Removing these details. DynPro tab. What is DynPro tab? This one. BDC data internal table. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Enable the exceptions. That's it. So after processing all the records, what we need to do?
Close the group.
After
Close
end loop.
session.
After end loop. Before end loop. Sorry. Before loop. Create the session. Within the loop. Use BDC insert to process the records.
Yes,
After the
sir.
loop. Call BDC
BDC.
close
Oh,
group
close group.
to close the session. Once all records are processed, then close the group. No inputs here, just enable the exceptions. That's it.
Yes, sir.
I'll just add a message here. Okay. So LT message, I am removing this because we are not reading BDC, MSGC, OLL messages, right? Here we don't need to maintain this error handling. I'm removing this because it contains implicit error handling. Now
Yes, sir.
open the file, Excel file. So this is the file what we have. I've created like new materials. So not in the SAP. I haven't created, but I maintained a new set of material numbers here with different material types, industry sector, and unit of measurement. Okay. If you don't pass the material, what will happen? It will automatically generate by using the internal sequence number. Okay. So you have to decide like whether you need any specific material names or let the system decide the material number. Okay. At that time, you don't need to pass material data. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So close the file before executing. Kept the breakpoint at create session. Selected the material data. I think I have to delete mode. Mode is not required here. Okay. Don't consider it. How many records got uploaded? 10
10
records.
records.
Now F6 sub R0. So session should have created. Where can we check the session?
35.
SM35.
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 Let's check is there any session created or not. Okay. new, not yet created. Uh, Populating BDC data structure as per the screen recording. I will navigate to here. Sub RC0 record might have created, not in the database, in the session. Okay, when the record will be created? Once we processed the session. So processed all the records, closing the session. Sub RC0. Now check here or reopen the session. SM35. This one,
Yes, sir.
my session
My
only, right?
session. Yes,
So
sir.
you should check, you should search your session as per the status. Okay, new, currently it is in new status because we did not process the session, right? If it is already
Yes, sir.
processed, that should be in processed tab.
Processed.
Double click on the session to check what are the details available. If you double click on the session, what you can see here, transactions. How many transactions are created?
10
10
transactions.
transactions for 10 records. Double click on
Yes,
one.
sir.
It is
Then
showing
close.
program and screen
Program.
number. Double click on this. It is showing the value what is populated in that screen in
Yes,
the session, right?
yes, sir.
For each record, you have 10 transactions here. Okay. Double click, you can see what is the value that is populated in that screen, right?
Yes, sir.
So if you check these records in the database, you can't find because we did not process the session. Let's process the session. Select the session and process. Click on process. Do you want to process the session in foreground or background or display errors only? I want to process it in background. So processing is failed for some reason. That's why it is in incorrect status. Let's check what is the error. Log. Go to the log. Go to the error log. Transaction error. RRMMG1 Matter does not exist in Rain Pro. It is showing error for MTART. Let's check what is it. So there is a issue with the material type. You can see here, right? That screen field is failing. Go to the record, one record, and check what is the data that is populated to MTART.
Yes, sir.
We have error in the first screen. Why material type is not populating? Material type is not populating. What's happened? Let's check this error. Okay, we have to close this. So session created. BDC cursor is populated. BDC OK code is also populated. Material number is populated. That is M80 200. Industry sector also populated. Okay. So data is populating, but let's check why it is not working. Go to the session and check. New session created.
Also not.
For some reason, material type is not populated.
So,
We'll try to process in foreground so that we can see how the data is being populated. Select foreground, process. Okay. Yeah. For some reason, material type is not populating. Yeah, if we process in foreground, we can see that that material type is not populating. So how can you troubleshoot that? So what is the field we are using? RMMG1 MTART, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Oh, sorry, that is for BDC cursor. For MTRT, we are same field. Now let's go to MM01. Check the screen field name. Is there any difference? Technical settings or MMZ1. There is a typo here if you observe.
Double R.
Hmm.
Double R, sir.
Yeah. Field name is incorrect. That's why
It's not
it's
public.
not populating the data, right?
Yes, sir.
So this is how you need to troubleshoot. If it is missing any data, go and check what is the screen field name, right? Whether we are populating same or not. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Now
F1.
come back. Let me close this session. Exit. Okay. Now go to SM35. I'll delete the previous sessions. So let's execute the program again. Completed. Go to session. Now let's process the session. Now where is it? Processed in progress in background locked. Yeah,
Processed.
it is processed with no errors,
Yes, sir.
right? If there are any errors, you can check in log, right? It will display
Yes,
the
sir.
log. What is the issue? What is the field that is causing the issue? You can find here. Once you fix the errors, process the session. Now go and check the data mm03. What are the records we created? Go and check in the file. So these records should be available in the material master data transaction code. Let's check 209 Mara table, or you can check in Mara table or MM03. Yeah, data is
Okay, sir.
created, right?
Yes, sir. Created.
So this is how we process the data using session method. Okay. Recording is common for both call transaction and session methods. Let's quickly check BAPI also, how we are going to use BAPI function module. Today we'll see one BAPI example to create the material data, and in the next session we'll see few other BAPI examples because BAPIs are very important. Okay,
Yes, sir.
I'll copy this program as it is because till file upload everything is common. Once the file is uploaded, then we are going to call respective method, call transaction or session, whatever.
Okay, sir.
We'll remove this mode. It is not required anymore because we are not
Where
using
is sir?
call transaction. This is for upload. We need to keep it. BDC data structures and the message structures we don't need. Okay. We need to keep only file upload structure. Till here, everything is common. I'm removing this. So I've copied the program. Till file upload, everything is same. And I've removed all BDC related references. Okay. Now we'll use BAPI instead of BDC. Tell me what is a BAPI? BAPI is a remote enabled function module. It's a API, application program interface,
Yes.
right?
Yes. Yes,
To
sir.
provide the data to external systems or to accept data from external systems, we can provide that functionality in the form of BAPI. Okay, so that we don't need to provide access of our entire system. For example, the third party system need to access SAP sales orders. We don't need to provide them the complete system access. We create a BAPI, right, to access the sales order data. So that BAPI, by using that BAPI, they can only access sales order data of specific type. Okay. So
Yes, sir.
BAPIs, we can create the records, change the records, and display the records.
Okay, sir.
BAPIs are nothing but remote enabled function modules. But what is the difference between RFCs and BAPIs? RFCs contains exceptions, but BAPIs contains return
Yeah.
parameter. We'll see that return parameter. So all BAPI names will starts with the BAPI. I'll try to search here. Okay, instead of in BAPI transaction code, I'll try to search in SC37. BAPI material. So this one, right? BAPI material get all display. What is this BAPI for? Go to attributes and check. BAPI for reading the material data,
Material.
Material data.
existing material data. What are the inputs for this?
Material company
Material,
code.
company code, plant, storage
Valuation
location. There are
area.
different inputs. What it is
Yes, sir.
returning as output?
Client data.
Client
Client
data. What is
data.
client data? Double click on the structure, BAPI structure. This one, material, industry sector, material type, created on,
Created and
created by,
created by.
last changed by,
Yes, sir.
right? All this data they're returning in the client data structure. Plant data, if you double click on this, you can find plant related details. Here, if you observe, you can observe all plain names, plant, but actual plant field is WERKS, right?
Yes, sir.
Here in BAPIs, we maintain the fields with like general names, which can easy to readable names, right? Not SAP technical names, because BAPIs can be used by third-party systems. They should understand the functionality of BAPI to consume it, right?
Yes, sir.
Let's try with one material,
Understood.
execute this function module. Let's test this BAPI. Recently, we created one function module, one material, right? Let's try 209 mat hyphen 209. Execute. In exporting parameters, client data. So because we did not create most of the details, we created only basic details, right?
Yes,
So it
yes,
returned
sir.
all the basic details. This is to read the material master data. BAPI material get detail. Okay.
Yes,
And what is
sir.
our requirement? To create the material, right?
Create.
This should be the material, I think. BAPI material save data. Display. Go to attributes. Create and change
Wait
material
and
master
change
data. So
material.
by using this
Yes, sir.
BAPI, you can create the material as well as you can change the existing material. You can find more details in the documentation. If you go to documentation, you can find more details about the BAPI. So what are the different importing parameters, exporting parameters, right? Here must first be supplied with data by calling the program. So what they are saying, we should we should provide the client data, that is mandatory. This requires the calling program to supply the corresponding fields with the indicator in checkbox table, for example, client data X. So here we have two structures, client data and client data X. What is this client data X? Whatever the fields we have populated in the client data structure, whatever the data we are trying to change in the client data structure, for the corresponding fields, we have to pass X in the client X structure. This is very common in most of the BAPIs, change BAPIs particularly. Whatever the field we are changing, we have to mark X in the corresponding X structure. So we have client data structure, client X structure with the same fields. Fields are same, but in client X structure we have flag.
Modify.
We have to pass X instead of value. Okay. For example, if you are passing unit of measurement in client X structure, you have to pass base underscore UOM equal to X. That's it. That is to provide the input for the BAPI. Hey, I'm trying to provide this data. Please check for only these details. Right? Now, so what is the importing structures here? Header data. Is it a internal table like structure or work area like structure? Let's check. Double click on this. So it's a structure. So it's a work area like structure. In BAPI, header what we need to pass? Material, number, industry sector, material type, and any other details if we have, we need to pass. To which structure? Header structure, right? In header structure, we need to pass the header data like material number, material type, industry sector, these details. What do we have in client data? Double click on the structure. So is it a table type? No, it's a structure. So it's a work area like data, single record. Here we have material group,
Flag.
material group, base unit of measurement, base
UAE.
different other document type, different other fields. They are in client data structure. We have corresponding client data X structure. What we need to pass here? These are all character one type fields. Please observe. All of them are type char 1. Here we need to pass X. For example, if you are passing the material group, here in client X structure, pass material group equal to X. That's it. Base unit of measurement equal to X. That's it.
X. Yes, sir.
Similarly for plant data and plant X data. So whatever the fields you are passing in plant data structure, pass X in the corresponding plant data X structure. Okay. Similarly, you have to
X.
populate all these details. If it is a work area like structure, populate the single record. We might have internal table like structures also. Go to tables for material descriptions. Why we have, what is this? Double click on this.
Copy
It is
indicator.
in tables, right?
Yes, sir.
If we define it in table, that means it's an internal table like structure. Or we can also use table type in exporting parameter. But since it is in tables, obviously it is an internal table like structure. What are the fields it contains? BAPI, MAKT, material description. What we need to pass here?
Pass.
Language, material description.
Language.
And if you want to delete any specific material text, pass deletion equal
Delete.
to X, right?
So,
So that material text will be set to deletion. Okay. So why we have remaining details are work area like structure and only material description is internal table like structure? Because how many languages we might have in text table? Same text can be maintained in multiple languages, right?
yes, sir.
Yes or
So
no?
yes, sir. You
English,
can.
German, Japanese. So for that reason, they have provided it as an internal table like structure to allow the user to maintain the description in multiple languages by appending multiple language records to this material description.
Material description.
Similarly, all this data, wherever you need to populate multiple records, they have provided the tables. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Now let's create the program. First, we need to pass the header data, right? Let's first define the structures. First, header data. What is the type? BAPI head. Define the BAPI structures. So depends on the data what you have. Okay. Since we have only basic data, we are taking header data and client data. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Since it's a work area like structure, I'll take like this. Type, the same type what we have in BAPI.
Here. Yes,
Okay.
sir.
We are passing
And
header data
then
and client data also because material group and unit of measurement is in client data.
client data.
Type is BAPI underscore Mara.
Date type copy Mara.
And we need to take X structure also. Define
Client X type copy text.
that's it. Plant data and remaining data we are not passing storage location. We need to pass the material description, right? Material
Yes,
text.
sir.
Define.
It is in table. Copy
So it is
MAKT.
a structure, but it is defined in tables. That's why it is acting as internal table. Okay. But when we are defining it in the program, we have to use type standard table of. Okay.
Yes, sir.
We'll take one work area also to populate, to append the text. Okay. Now I'll just keep it here just to copy. First, populate the header data. Hyphen material equal to Matner. Not this. So we have industry sector and material type also. Let's copy these two. MBRSH. So we're populating our SAP data to BAPI structures. So whenever you are creating a custom BAPI, so we need to make sure all the field names should be in readable names, okay?
Yes,
Not like technical names, okay?
sir. BAPI, sir.
But anyway, it will allow you to provide any name, but it is recommended to provide understandable names, okay?
General words.
Yeah,
Yes,
header
sir.
data is completed. We have only these three details for header data. Next is client UOM,
Plan, client.
because material group and UOM is in client data. Here,
Yes, sir.
material group, pass the material group. What is the structure? WA client. We have unit of measurement, right? Where is it? Base UOM, that
Base
is
UOM
unit of measurement.
equal to OA into
Yeah, client data is completed. Let's populate the client X data. Client X
X.
ABAP true. Okay,
Okay, sir.
or just pass X.
Okay, sir.
Now, what is the other data we have? We have material text, right? Remaining details we have already populated. So we have material text. Material text is remaining. So to populate the material
Sure.
text, what we need to pass? We have to pass the internal table, right?
Internal.
For
Yes,
this
sir.
BAPI,
Internal table.
because it's in tables. It's in tables.
Tables. Result
What are
display.
the fields we have? Let's pass it. What is the first field? Language.
LNGU equal to system LNGU.
System language. Material description.
I marketing
Append this to
IT and M text.
so this is to populate single language. If you need to populate multiple languages, if you need to add multiple language text, then append again. I'll populate one more language, that is some
German.
D. Okay,
Okay.
sparse length is 1. That means we have to pass only D. Anyway, it will take only D. For material text, instead of passing the same text, I'll just add something like this: concatenate with German. So this is concatenate. If you use this, right, it will combine both this data and populate it to this one.
Single
Okay,
S.
like that you can populate. You can keep on adding multiple languages as long as that language is configured in your system. That's it. Now we have populated the BAPI structures. Now Call the BAPI function module. Sometimes we need to have more details to pass the BAPI. Otherwise, BAPI will fail. We don't pass all the mandatory inputs. Okay. So you can check that in where you can check the BAPI errors.
BAPI. Sir.
This one. Return messages type BAPI returns. Right. So it will return all the errors. We have BAPI ret2 also. If it is a single record, it will return single message. But for multiple messages, you can use this one. Let's define BAPI return structure also in the program to handle the errors. This is common for every BAPI. And we'll append the data to one internal table. Type standard table of BAPI return 2 just to display the output. Okay. Now call the BAPI.
Material save data. Save data.
Continue. Pass the header data because header data is mandatory. So we have client data also. Pass client data.
Client. కింద సార్ below sir.
Okay. Plant data and remaining things we are not passing. Just remove this.
Material description W.
Okay. I think we have to read the return parameters. WA underscore return, right? WA underscore return. Okay.
Okay, sir.
If WA return hyphen, what are the fields we have in BAPI return? Type is very important. Type. Is it a error? Here you can see success, error, warning, error.
Warning. Yes, sir.
Right? If you have error, we need to handle it. Right? Hyphen type equal to E. That means BAPI
Right.
execution is unsuccessful. Failed. Something wrong. Okay. Here you have to display proper message. Right? So for now, I'll just append every message to an internal table. What is the type we defined? With BAPI return to structure, LD messages. Okay. Now that's it. Sometimes, right, we need to call BAPI transaction commit function module to commit the changes, right? For example, first we are changing the sales order data here, and then after this, after changing the sales order data, I have to update PO data here immediately, right? But before that, I need to make sure the changes are commit, like the changes are applied to database. For that, what we need to do? We need to
Commit
call
state.
BAPI transaction commit statement. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Yes, sir.
BAPI. Yes.
Okay.
So this is the BAPI transaction commit. We can also use wait time, right?
Mm. Yes.
So
Wait.
this is to wait for 1 second or half second before executing the next database update. Okay,
Okay. Okay, sir.
but it will delay the process if we need to pass like this wait time if it is really required. Okay, otherwise if you don't pass BAPI transaction commit, what will happen? Is not going to commit the changes. So after the program execution, right, there will be a default commit executes. After completing the program execution, a default commit will automatically execute that will commit the changes. Okay, but if you want to
Okay,
commit
sir.
immediately before
We
completing the
have to
program,
use
immediately after crossing the record, we have to use BAPI transaction
transaction.
commit.
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
I'm just
Yes, sir.
commenting this. Now let's process the data and check the return parameters. I'll keep the breakpoint here. I'll update the records because these are already created, right?
Yes, sir.
From
Yes.
210. It will take because this
We'll,
BAPI can update the records also, right? Change the records also because it won't throw any error because it will just update the existing records instead of changing. So these are updated. Save, close the file, execute the program, select, close. It's taking time. Okay. File is uploaded. Now we are processing the data.
F6.
We populated all the structures. Initially return should be empty, like it will be empty. Once the BAPI execution is completed, we can check. F6, click on F6. BAPI is executing for first material, right? That
Yes,
is
sir.
210,
Then,
material 210. And what is the return parameter? Depends on the return parameter. The status depends on the return parameter. What is the type?
yes, sir.
Type is
Status
ID is this is message ID,
MM3
right? Message ID and message number. Okay. Since it's a
Okay, sir.
success message, so you don't need to worry about it. It is created, right? This
Okay,
is
sir.
success message, right?
Okay. Yes,
Now
sir.
F7. Now again it is processing 211, right?
Yes, sir.
Here I'll just remove unit of measurement. It's a mandatory data, right? Unit of measurement.
Yes,
So I
sir.
have removed it. Let's try to execute. Just to observe the BAPI message. What is the return?
Error E.
Hmm. E.
Error also
This is a
IDMG.
message ID and this is message number. And
Yes,
this is
sir.
the message, right? So to debug this, you can use this message ID MM144 to set the breakpoint. Okay? It will trigger the breakpoint whenever that message is reached, right?
Okay, sir.
F8. So let's check the records. So material is created, right? Through BAPI function module. If you need to populate all the other tabs with all the other tab fields, we need to pass the other BAPI structures,
Yes,
right? How to troubleshoot the errors? Check the error, check the message ID and message number. Keep the breakpoint at that message number so that you can check the logic, what is behind it. Okay, clear?